Hey everybody, Denise Mazzola here from Everything Dog with your 10-minute tip on how understanding mass and rubber band balls will help you get behavior onto your dog super fast, super strong. All right, so what do rubber band balls have to do with dog training? Everything, of course. So it's a little known fact that behavior has mass. This is okay, meaning that you could think of it as weight. You could think of it literally as a size thing. So let's take the behavior of jumping, but it can be anything good or naughty that your dog is doing. So let's say you have a 5-year-old dog that you've had since he or she was a puppy, and the dog has been jumping jumping on people, jumping on counters, whatever it is, for that entire 5 years. Every rubber band on this rubber band ball is a successful event of jumping, okay? So 5 years, this is going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow until it's about, 2 basketball sizes of mass on the behavior of jumping, okay? So why is that important? It's important because the more mass a behavior has, the stronger that behavior is, also meaning that the less resistant it is to extinction. So, which means it's hard to make it go away. So if a behavior is hard to get rid of, to make it go away, what are you going to do? That old adage that you hear, you can't train an old dog, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. There's some reality to that. You can teach an old dog a brand new trick quite successfully. That it should say something like, you can't change an old dog's behavior quickly, right? Because let's say this is jumping and it's enormous, right? We talked about basketball size. And let's say this is the behavior of sit. Sit just has a little bit of mass to it, okay? So if this is jumping and this is sit, you're not going to get rid of jumping until these reverse, until this is jumping and this is sit. And I'd say that sit needs to be that much bigger. Okay, so this is jumping and this is sit now. Well, now your dog has more mass on the behavior of sit, so your dog will stop jumping. Okay, if you're in any sort of competition obedience, any kind of thing like that, where you need your dog to perform behaviors under a lot of pressure, under a lot of distractions, then your goal on whatever those behaviors are, sit, stay for 3 minutes, lay down or a down stay, any kind of discrimination work, you want a lot of mass on those behaviors so that they will withstand the pressure or the distractions of the environment that you ultimately need the dog to perform them in, okay? So the only thing, and this is all science, the only thing that will reduce mass, that will make this smaller, is stress or pressure, okay? So we'll just take the little one. And let's say this is sit. You have a 6-month-old dog and you're going to say to me, oh, Denise, he knows sit just fine. But when he goes outside, he knows what he's supposed to be doing and he's choosing not to sit. I'm going to say, well, I know it's really frustrating. But it's a mass problem. When you have a little bit of what I call baby mass on your 6-month-old dog of sit, and then you step outside where there's smells and sights and sounds, and maybe you've got wild turkeys through your yard, or maybe you have I don't know, deer or whatever it is. I mean, I live in New Hampshire, there's all kinds of wildlife. All of those distractions, all of that pressure obliterates whatever mass you think you have on your behavior. And because to you it looks so clear in the house, oh, my dog's rocking it out, sitting for food, sitting for treats, sitting in the kitchen, and then you ask him outside, he's like, what's happening, right? That's a mass problem, okay? And your dogs can't consciously make the decision not to sit or not to come uncalled. It's all about mass and training. All right. So just to refresh you, behavior has mass. Think of rubber band balls. The more rubber bands on a rubber band ball, the more mass, the stronger the behavior, the less resistant it is to extinction. So your goal is to get all the behaviors that you want your dog to do to have as much mass as possible on those. All right. How do you do that? All right. If you have any kind of what I'll call naughty behaviors that your dog is doing, if they're running away, if they're jumping on people, if they're barking out the window, whatever it is, the first thing you have to do is change your behavior. I'm sorry. You must change your behavior. I'm not really sorry, but you must change your behavior. Your dog is not going to change their behavior because you wish they would. Your dog is not going to change his or her behavior because you're thinking about training in your head. Your dog is not going to change their behavior because you get more and more frustrated with them or more and more embarrassed with them, whatever it is. You must change your behavior in some way in order for your dog to change their behavior. Okay? So that's, that's a secret, I suppose. I tell that to a lot of people and they start looking at me like, what? So how are you going to do this? What people sometimes look at me and say, okay, but what do I need to do? And they honestly don't know. So I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to get to mass in a minute. The first thing is change your behavior. You're going to do that by stopping the naughty behavior. So if your dog jumps on people when they come into the house, you will have your dog on a leash. You can step on the leash, you can hold the leash, but you're going to prevent the dog from jumping on your family and friends. You cannot control your family and friends. You're going to control your dog. If you don't want to hold them on a leash, put them in a crate, put them in another room, put them in your backyard if it's fenced in or whatever it is, but stop them from jumping, okay? Because every time they jump, guess what? They're adding more mass to the wrong behavior, and you're just swimming, you're paddling upstream, okay? So you must change your behavior, stop the dog from practicing, and then you need to, well, there's a couple of things. I'm going to tell you 3 and 4 at the same time. You got to decide what behavior do you want the dog to do. Honestly, I feel like sit and come uncalled would solve almost all the dog problems that I see. If your dog had, I'm talking about a rock solid sit that's been proofed through all sorts of distractions and pressure and dogs running by and doorbells and knocking on the door and stuff like that. But you must decide. So many times I'll go to someone's house and I'll say, okay, so I get the laundry list of all the naughty things the dog is doing. They're jumping on people, they're barking out the window, they're this, they're that, they're the other thing. And I'm like, great. All right, we got the laundry list. What do you want the dog to do? What are your goals? And somebody say, well, I just want him to be well-behaved. All right, what does that look like? I can't train well-behaved until you're specific about what that looks like, okay? I can remember sitting on a woman's couch in a very nice town in New Hampshire. She had 2 lab puppies that she got from the at the same time from the breeder. I was just like, oh, whatever, not my house. And she said, I want them, I entertain a lot. I have the ladies over and I want them to be well behaved. As they're like running across my lap on the couch and jumping on me from behind. And I'm sitting there trying to write. And I'm like, okay, so what does that look like to you? Because I'm thinking to myself, this is not well behaved. And she didn't seem to care. She's like, I'm going to have the ladies over for tea. And the dog's like, puppy pulling on my ears and grabbing my pen. And so I need my clients to be specific. What do you want the dog to do? And you need to decide, what do you want the dog to do? Until you are conscious, I want the dog to sit. I want the dog to lay down. I want the dog to run into their crate. I want the dog to go to their bed and stay there. Until you're conscious, up here, operant brain, about what you want your dog to do, you're just wish training. You're just thinking about it. You're hoping the dog will get it because you're frustrated about it, all right? You must decide what you want the dog to do. All right, so back to mass. You're going to need to communicate and motivate your dog in order to get the behaviors that you want, all right? So when I am paid to day train a dog or board and train a dog, It's really important to me that I get a lot of behavior, a lot of sit, a lot of down, a lot of come when called, fast and strong. I don't want to screw around with, I just don't want to screw around. I want to get it fast. And you guys can too, okay? So the key is mass. You need a lot of mass on the behaviors that you want, and you need to stop adding mass on the behaviors you don't want. So on here I've written $100 value treats versus 25-cent value treats. If you're going to train your dog with kibble, I would say, even manufactured dog treats, and you're going to give them one or two, you're going to be there for a long time. And you're going to say to me, this doesn't work, right? And it's not going to work. You're not going to be nearly as successful if you're going to use little bits of treats, if you're going to be stingy, and if you're not going to go to the big guns. So what are the big guns for me? So when I'm hired to train your dog, I am going to use pork chop. Boneless pork chop. There is a YouTube video, and I did a Facebook Live a while ago on how I prepare all the dog treats. Okay, I grill it because I can. I let it cool, and then I cut it up into little pieces. I can break this up even more. These are on the larger side, but pork chops are great. They're not an allergen usually, and they don't upset the dog's stomach so much. I also use chicken breast. Super, well, you know what? Pork chops are about $2.29, $2.30 a pound locally at a Market Basket. And chicken breast is actually a little more expensive, but it's also easy on the dog's stomach, very palatable. So cut up some chicken breast, bake it or grill it, cut it up and freeze it. I also use steak. Sounds extravagant, but it's not really. London broil steak, I got, two big ones for about $6. And $6 worth of dog treats is going to be probably a tiny little bag, and they're going to be tiny little pieces. And, they're going to be okay, but not like this. This is what I would consider, $75, $100 dog treats, okay, for your dog. It's not going to cost you that much, but for your dog's value. Now, a little bit bigger, more value are these amazing homemade sardine treats. I love these, right? They're easy to break up. I can break this one up into lots of little pieces when I give it to the dog. I'm not going to give them just one piece, okay? And then what I'm super excited about, I just found them, and again, are meatballs. So this meatball is frozen and it's pretty big. So when these defrost, I would probably cut them into quarters, and I would use those. So the other things I've cooked, like the sardine treats I've made, you can make beef liver treats as well. Personally, I'm not going to make meatballs for my dog, and this bag was like $6. And there's, I don't know how many meatballs are in here. It doesn't really say, but there's a lot of meatballs in here. And when I cut them up in quarters, I'm going to get even more. All right, so what does this have to do with mass, guys? I'm going to tell you. When you use super valuable food, $100, your dog sits for the very first time. You lure, get the dog into the sit position, and he gets 10 small pieces of sardine treat. He gets 10 pieces of pork chop. He gets 10 pieces of chicken, or 20 would be even better. Your dog is going to blow their mind going, what just happened? I put my butt on the floor and it rained $500 on me. Yeah. Is your dog going to sit again? Yeah. Okay. There's the training piece, right? You're going to lure, sit. But if you just get your dog into the sit and give him one piece, you're going to get a dog that sits and gets up, sits and gets up, sits and gets up. If that's what you want, great. But most of the people that I work with, they want their dog to sit and they want them to stay there for a little bit of time, or they want a stay. They lay down and they want them to stay there. So lure the dog, get the dog into the down position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 pieces. You probably will walk away and your dog's going to be like, yeah, I'm good right here, because I've learned this is where stuff happens, okay? Come when called, same thing. Your dog comes, I don't know, across the backyard, down the street, and so many times people give him one piece of chicken or one little dog treat or whatever. I'm like, guys, it's not your dog's running a cost-benefit analysis. They're running the mass ball, and they're saying, not worth my while to sit, lay down, or come uncalled if you're going to be stingy and give them just one little piece. So remember, the secret to getting the behaviors you want on your dog are: change your behavior, stop the naughty behavior from happening. Leash your dog, crate your dog, put your dog in the backyard, put your dog in a room, hold their collar, whatever you need to do. Stop your dog from adding mass to the wrong behavior. You need to decide, 3, decide what you want your dog to do. You can't just think about it. You got to make a conscious choice. What do I want my dog to do? I want my dog to sit. I want my dog to lay down. And then you're going to communicate that by putting mass on your dog's behavior that you want, that you've consciously decided, by using super high value treats for your dog. Cut these in quarters and be generous. Now, I'm just going to address it right now real quick before I sign off. Everybody wants to know when they can get rid of treats. I'm not going to tell you that. You're going to have to stick around until we have that conversation. But if your dog is learning, if they are new to you, if they're a puppy, that should not be in your brain right now. What should be in your brain is build mass, build mass, build mass. Be generous, be generous, be generous. Use high value food. And go and look at our at these other YouTube channels and YouTube videos, and you're going to find the one that I show how I prepare treats, like how I get that ready, how we store them, and that can help you as well. All right, until your next 10-minute tip, have fun training your dogs, and I look forward to seeing you again.